So look, over 5 years ago, I only had $400 in my bank account. But ever since I stopped wasting time, I was able to make upwards of $1,000 a day selling services and consulting online. And by the way, that's coming from a lower middle class background. My goal with this video is to share with you what I've done to make this happen, as well as the lessons I learned along the way. That way, you too can finally stop wasting time and become financially free. I'll be honest with you, 5 years ago, I used to be a massive procrastinator. I would constantly overthink everything. I needed to make the perfect decision. I needed to start at the perfect moment. All of the circumstances needed to be lined up for me to start because I was afraid to miss out on something if I didn't begin at the right moment. But now looking back, I realize the perfect moment doesn't exist. It's only an excuse that your brain utilizes to rationalize why it's okay to still do nothing and to procrastinate. Except that one thing I've learned the hard way is that procrastination breeds inaction. And guess what? Inaction gets you nowhere. It gives you no results. Now at the time, I had big goals, big dreams, but because I had no guidance, even though I knew what I wanted, which was to become financially free, to make $10, $20, $30,000 per month, so I could finally do the things I wanted, I didn't even know where to begin. So of course I wasn't disciplined because I lacked clarity. And you have to realize that in life, everything operates under the law of evolution. You either get better or you decay and die. And in business, it's especially true. Think about businesses like Blockbuster. They literally declared bankruptcy because they weren't willing to adapt to a changing market. Or just think back to the recent lockdowns all over the world. The businesses who couldn't adapt, who didn't go online, either because they couldn't or because they held on to their limiting beliefs, guess what happened to these businesses? They had to shut down their doors. They went bankrupt because they weren't willing to adapt. The world is constantly adapting and changing, and it's always going faster and faster and faster. Technology accelerates at a faster rate than ever before, which is why if you want to thrive in this world, one of the main qualities you need to have is adaptability. It's not the strongest species who survives, it's the one who's the most adaptable. And you might fool yourself thinking that it's okay if you don't start today, you can start tomorrow, you still have the time. But the thing is, if you're not moving forward and making progress, taking action towards your goals every single day, doing at least one thing that will get you closer to your goals, you're not even stagnating. That's what you're telling yourself, but that's a lie. You are getting worse because the world is evolving. If you don't do anything, you don't just stay where you are, you get worse. I speak to a lot of people on a weekly basis, and every time I notice a common trend among the people who are able to start their businesses, become financially free, and between the people who never get started and they just never become financially free, and so they stay stuck in a mediocre job that they hate. It's okay, it pays the bills, but they tolerate it. It's not great. And the difference between these two categories of people is that one refuses to take action because they're afraid, because they can't stop overthinking, and one acts quickly. Looking back over my data, and after having spoken to hundreds of people, the ones who take action quickly, who are willing to learn, adapt, evolve, they get the best results. And I know this to be true because I myself, I'm naturally a massive overthinker, and so I tend to procrastinate because, like I told you, I wanted to make the best decision at the best moment, but then I realized that was just an excuse for me to stay wrapped up in my comfort zone, because the brain much prefers familiarity over the unknown, even if what's familiar is ruining your life, preventing you from moving forward, and the unknown could actually bring you much better possibilities and opportunities. So I had to train myself to take action quickly, because if I stayed in inaction, I would have never been able to make upwards of $1,000 a day, to have a profitable consulting business and impact so many people positively. You have to realize that there's literally no benefit to waiting. The sooner you begin, the sooner you get results. It only makes sense. And I personally knew lots of people who had big goals, big dreams, big ambitions. They wanted to make more money, to be able to retire early, to be financially free, to be in control of their time, to travel the world and provide for the people that they love. But they kept waiting and waiting and waiting. But guess what happened to these people? They never actually end up doing what it takes. They never actually end up becoming financially free. Sometimes I have people who come back to me 6 months later and they tell me nothing has changed. If anything, everything got worse. Honestly, one of my biggest regrets, it's probably not taking action sooner. It took me 10 years from the moment I was 11 and discovered you could start an online business to the moment I had my first $1,000 a day in sales at 21, selling services and consulting. And the reason it took me so long is because at the time I had no one to guide me, to show me the way, and to give me a proven step-by-step process to follow, so I lacked clarity, so of course I lacked discipline. So my only regret really is not getting help from a mentor sooner, because if I had, I would have been able to move forward so much faster, and right now I would be far wealthier and far more successful. But the other thing that also held me back is that I wasn't willing to overcome my fears. At the time I was so anxious, I couldn't even leave the house to go for a walk in the neighborhood, and that went on for months. And that's because when you go through traumatic events in your past, your brain typically sees anything in everyday life as a potential threat, even though technically speaking, there is no imminent threat. So it's only an illusion created by the brain to prevent you from taking risks, just to prevent potential harm. And while your brain is only trying to protect you, what it also does is that it prevents you from doing the things that you need to do in order to become successful. But so you stay stuck forever and nothing changes. And just like that, you can waste months, if not years of your life. Some of the people I speak to, they tell me they've been thinking about starting a business for over 3 years, but they still haven't gotten started. They genuinely want to become financially free, quit their 9 to 5. They want to be in control of their time and of their life, but they still haven't gotten started. And the truth is, the reason why a lot of people don't start is because of fear. Fear of rejection, fear of doing the wrong thing, failing and looking like a fool in public, and sometimes it's even fear of wasting time, which funny enough, if you don't start, you keep waiting, then you guarantee that you waste time, so it's like your fear becomes true. It's like the people who don't want to get started because they're afraid to fail. If you don't start, you guarantee failure. So you have to realize it's only your brain trying to trick you into staying in your comfort zone, but you have to be smarter than your own brain. You can't let it dictate every action that you take. You can't let it dictate your decisions, because your brain couldn't care less that you want to be financially free, pay off the debt that you have, quit your job that you hate, provide for the people that you love, travel the world, buy nice shit. Your brain couldn't care less. It doesn't understand it. The lizard brain doesn't see long term. It's only focused on helping you to survive right now. But most likely you're not out there in the wilderness every day fighting for your life, hunting for food. Except that this same mechanism in your brain, which was initially designed to protect you, will prevent you from tapping into your full potential and living the sort of life you've always dreamed of. And so as a consequence, you will be sad and miserable and depressed like I was for a very long time, because I was letting myself hold myself back. A few years ago, I remember one of my friends told me, if you're against yourself, you can never win. And at the time, I was really struggling with self-sabotage. I'd take action because I really wanted to become successful, so I could manage to force myself to start doing things to move forward, but because I didn't really believe in myself, and I also didn't really know what I was doing, I had no one to guide me or show me the way, I would always take one step forward, then 2 steps back. And that went on for months, until I realized that I can't hold myself back anymore. I can't be my own worst enemy anymore. There's a quote I've always loved. It goes, "The master has failed more times than the beginner has even tried." And that quote sums it all up. If you genuinely want to become successful, to make $10,000 per month, which would already put you in the top 1% of earners in the world, you need to be willing to do what 99% of people aren't. You need to be willing to make mistakes, to get rejected. So what if one potential customer doesn't buy from you? Move on to the next one. There are plenty of fish in the sea, plenty of new opportunities coming your way every day. When you start to think like this, you attract more abundance into your life. I'm sure you know these people. It's like they seem to always have problems. They always attract the same toxic relationships. But every time, if we look at it like a scientist would, the only variable in that experiment which doesn't change, it's the person themselves. So if they always attract the same kind of toxic partners or the same kind of customers who treat them like shit, it's because internally there's something they need to work on. So making mistakes, failing, facing rejection is an essential part of the learning process. You have to be open-minded and be willing to try new things. I failed so many times before I closed my first customers, but along the way I learned many lessons. So in reality, when you have this mindset, you can never lose, because you either learn valuable lessons or you make money, and so you sign customers and you help people. But either way, you can utilize that to then help more people and have more of a bigger impact and make more money in your business. You only lose if you decide to see it as a failure. Now, something that really changed my life when I understood it is that successful people buy speed. So in society, we love to glamorize the idea of being self-made, because we love to say, oh, I made it on my own. I became successful through sheer hard work and willpower. But the truth is, plenty of people from all over the world work extremely hard. Yet, are they multi-millionaires? Do they earn 6 figures a year? No, because it's not just about willpower and hard work. Warren Buffett said it himself. It doesn't matter how hard you roll, it matters what boat you're in. But do you honestly think Michael Jordan would be so successful today if he didn't have mentors and coaches? In fact, one of his mentors, Tim Grover, wrote many books on the subject, and together they worked as a team. And without Tim Grover, Michael Jordan probably would have been successful, because he's extremely hardworking and talented, but he would have worked with other mentors anyway, because alone you can't do everything. Alone you don't know what you don't know. Honestly, the success I've been able to achieve so far, I don't even attribute it to myself. I don't consider myself to be self-made, because plenty of people have helped me along the way, whether it was advice from a friend or directly me going ahead and getting help from mentors. And I can think about 3 main mentors right now that completely changed my life. And without these 3 people, I would have never been able to close $1,000 deals on meetings with complete strangers and to have a profitable consulting business. It would have been impossible, because alone I wouldn't have known what the hell to do. Which is why, to help you, I've recorded a free video in which I share with you everything I did step by step to make upwards of $1,000 a day selling services and consulting online. That way, you can literally just copy me. The link will be in the description. Or if you're committed to starting your business, becoming financially free, breaking out of the 9-to-5 rat race, you can directly book a free call with me or my team, and we'll ask you some questions. We'll see if we can help you. Now, something that genuinely changed my life was to expose myself to luxury more often. I personally grew up in a small town, less than 10,000 people, in a lower middle class family, so we were by no means living in a fancy rich neighborhood, absolutely not. And so growing up, seeing how lack of money affected my parents and our family, my younger sister and I, it made me hungry for so much more. And so while I would see my parents breaking their backs every day at work only to earn breadcrumbs, to be underpaid and undervalued, literally treated like shit, I'm not even joking, I would see these wealthy kids at school getting dropped off in brand new Mercedes cars. Every year they would get the latest iPhone, while at the time I didn't even have a phone. And every morning I had to force myself to get up super early, even though I was sleep deprived because I was so depressed I couldn't sleep, just so I could take the crowded bus to go to school. And so I knew for a fact, wealthier people lived a much better life. Sure, they had problems just like everybody else, but rich people problems, in my experience, were much easier to deal with and much better than poor people problems, because the problems that we're all going to have to face, like the loss of the people that we love, no matter the amount of money in your bank account, it's not going to change a thing. But if while you're still alive, you can have the money that you want, to travel, to let's say have fun with the people that you love, to share nice experiences, why not? Why waste that opportunity to live a full life while you still can? That never made any sense to me. I never really understood why most people would settle for mediocrity, knowing there's so much more abundance out there in the world. And so I knew from a very young age it was my duty to become successful and to break my family out of hell, because who else was going to do it? And so growing up in a small town, like I said, less than 10,000 people, it's not like I witnessed abundance and wealth on a daily basis. It was the opposite, in fact. Sometimes people would stop under the windows in the street and they would speak for fucking 15 minutes about the price of bread and how this other bakery was actually selling the bread for like 15 cents more. Like, oh my god. But then one day I went to Paris on a small trip and I got to see like this huge city with those big buildings, and I would see plenty of luxurious Mercedes sedans or those kinds of cars, like, you know, taxis, and I would see these expensive restaurants. I think I also saw a Rolex shop, something like that, and I just realized how much abundance was out there. And in fact, we have enough food on the planet to feed everyone, yet over 733 million people still go hungry to this day. So there is more than enough to go around. You just have to know how to get your share. Most likely, if right now you find yourself constantly wasting time, overthinking or procrastinating, it's because you lack clarity. Chances are you know what you want out of life. You know you want to be financially free. You know you want to be able to quit your job and live a full life. Make enough money so you can do all the things that you love, provide for the people that you love, travel the world, and even spend money on nice stuff. But lack of clarity is killing you. Over 5 years ago, when I only had $400 in my bank account, that lack of clarity was destroying me. If only I had known exactly what to do, I would have been able to become super disciplined. Nowadays, the only reason why I'm so disciplined and I'm able to work hard consistently every day, it's because I'm following a proven plan and it works. So once you start getting results, it gets easier and easier and easier to keep going. So look, you need to make a choice. You can keep watching YouTube videos on how to make money online, but doing that won't make you money. Or if you're committed to starting your business so you can become financially free and get the life that you deserve, you can check out the free resources in the description below or directly book a free call with me or my team and we'll see if we can help you. That being said, if you found this video helpful, share it with a friend, and together, let's blow up this YouTube channel to empower more ambitious people across the world to become financially free.